Welcome to another edition of the ISB podcast. I'm your host Sahil here with Roy. Both of the boys are on the road. We sent Rahi to the exciting place of España. We'll get to catch up with him later in the weekend.
España.
But Roy,
Lucky
we don't
Rocky.
know. We don't know where the heck we sent Roy. We're East Coast of the U.S. or something like that. We won't get into that. But Roy, how would you like to be? How would you like to be? We're gonna talk a little Asian football. How would you like to be down under in Australia right now?
Let's go down under. First of all, can you guess what image is down under my screen on my shirt? What animal is on my shirt right now? Take a guess.
I know. I saw it. Can I say? It's a
show it.
goat. It's a goat.
It's a goat. Impossible is nothing. Lionel Messi. Just want to throw that in. That is a down under reference. That has nothing to do with Australia. But I love this shirt. My father-in-law gave it to me. I think I look pretty nice in it.
Okay. So let's a quick shout out to our Indonesian viewers out there, because it seems like whatever they did in the last match against Australia has caused some waves, because as our Australian fans out there will know now, Mr. Graham Arnold has stepped down as the manager of Australian football. Kind of a strange time to step down, Roy. Kind of a strange time right in the middle of the qualification cycle.
Strange time indeed. And I think the game against Indonesia, well, it's not I think, it's fact, it was the nail in the coffin. This is a team that had a spectacular, given the talent they had a spectacular World Cup where they took Argentina to the edge. They almost beat Argentina.
Yeah.
What was that? A quarter? That was a quarter, right?
No. Round of 16. The first round.
16, right before.
Round of 16. So let's talk about that briefly. Yeah. Let's talk about that. They had a fantastic victory against Denmark to even make it to the round of 16. And then that match against Argentina was a wild match. 2-0 up. Argentina was up. Australia gets a goal back. And then do you remember this one run by Aziz Behic, I think is his name. He's Australian back. And he burned everyone. And at the very end, I believe it was Martinez or someone who got that tackle in at the very end. Otherwise, that's a goal. 2-2. And at the very last play, the very last shot of the match, there was a chance for Australia to equalize. And Martin,
that's one Emmy saved. Yeah, my boy Emmy saved it. The other goal.
But yeah, they were very close to do that. And then since then, Roy, it's been it's been a bit of a free fall.
It's been a nightmare. Their match against Bahrain left a lot to be desired. It was almost sad to watch the difference between the match the world saw, which is that game against Argentina, versus this one. The difference in quality, the difference in tactics, the difference in there wasn't that fire, that passion from the Australian side. And keep in mind, Graham's been there for, is it 6 years? He's the longest running Australian coach. And this is a difficult thing. We could talk all day about how long a national team coach should be with the national team, but things have clearly gone stale. The team gave him their all for the World Cup. I think it's ready for a new direction. I think this team is ready for something more exciting. And, he almost got fired before. Do you remember the last time he almost got fired? Do you remember what happened?
Yeah. It was. Go ahead. Describe it.
It was they didn't qualify automatically through the World Cup. Yeah. So they ended up not getting the results they needed. So they had the one-off game against Peru.
Yep.
And that's where, what was the goalkeeper's name?
Yes.
Was it Redmayne?
Yes.
Yeah. Redmayne, total psycho, absolute freaking psycho between the post. He gets in there, starts making faces, stop hopping around. He's like a second string goalkeeper in the A-League or something. And he qualifies Australia to the World Cup, thus saving his coach's job, which is insane. He would have been fired.
It was very funny in the exit. You should call it the exit interview, right? It was a nice interview. I'll touch on it in a second. But in Arnie's exit interview, they asked him what was your favorite moment, right, with Australia, and he said, I could name a lot of them, but that moment, because he's like, if that moment never happens by Redmayne, if he doesn't save him, none of the other moments happen, because you're right, he's gone. So
it's insane. and they made history in Qatar. They really did. They made their nation proud. But I admire this coach. I admire what he's done for the national team. He didn't come with many qualifications. Coached in the A-League. I think he coached as an interim with Australia before. So he came, he did fantastic things, and he left with respect. He left on his own accord. He said, this is what's best for the country. I have gotten what I could out of this team. Someone else will get more out of him. What a respectful guy to go out this way. I wish other coaches, hint, hint, U.S. men's national team fans would have done that. Realize, hey, I've gotten what I could out of this talented group of players. It's time for someone else because I care about this freaking country. I care about this team.
100%. And you know what you said, Roy, earlier that I think was very apt was you said, you could see the Australian team was kind of out of ideas, and you saw them tired in the match against Korea in the Asian Cup, right? They had a few excellent chances to put that match to bed. They were up 1-0, excellent chances, didn't get it done. And then Korea came back and won it in extra time. And from that moment on, I could just tell that this was not going to be the same situation. Arnold, you could tell, like you said, he was losing it, and he was losing control of, that energy that he had before. You could just see it in the Australian team. And exactly what you said, he did something which made a lot of sense. He resigned at the right time, which a lot of coaches do not do.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Admire him. And I think moving forward, first of all, I totally believe in the what's that superstitious thing they say when a head coach gets fired or leaves, the team suddenly goes on this rampage and starts winning their next 5-6 games. It's
what is it? Beginner's luck? New coach's luck, or what?
There it is, something like that. So I think what Australia needed was a shakeup. In the same way the U.S. national team needed a shakeup with Greg Berhalter. I think this is going to unlock something different. They're going to feel that fire again, that motivation again to say, hey, we got to impress someone else now. This is a new horizon for this team. Who are they facing next? Is it China?
Yeah, they have matches against China, and then they have to play the team they always lose to, which is Japan. You know what, Roy, I want to make a quick point. A lot of similarities between the U.S. men's national team and Australia in this current juncture of time, right? You think about, we should have a whole separate video on that, because I would love to talk about A-League versus MLS. I think that's a fascinating topic. But one thing that seems to be a common theme is that we both seem to be able to not beat Japan.
That is a common theme, and it's a fascinating topic as well, because throughout history, the teams that seem most comparable for me and for many others have always been Australia and the US, both from a league perspective, both from the fact that the league in the country the sport in the country is called soccer. It's two of the only nations that call it soccer. The leagues are these growing leagues that have had growing pains, that have almost failed, aren't really garnering the interest that they should, trying to bring in big stars. So it's a lot of the similar struggles. I see it as Australia is the U.S. 15 years ago, quality-wise, when it comes to MLS and the national team. Then there's U.S., then above is England. For some reason, I see these three teams as being a lot of the same problems when it comes to personnel, playing style, all those kind of things at very different levels.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think culturally, we have a lot of similarities as well with them. But, I think that is a good topic for another time that we should explore 100%, because I think that's fascinating. Let's focus on this for the purpose of this particular episode is, can a new manager fix the Socceroos? What do you think? Do you think this is a fixable situation? Because there's a lot of exciting talent. There's Iran Kunda, who's playing for Bayern Munich, obviously in their youth setup. And there's talent there, some exciting young players. Can another manager get the best out of this team?
I think so. The thing is, they have a low ceiling. I think they pushed up against their ceiling in Qatar, really strongly pushed up against that ceiling in Qatar. They really overperformed. But talent-wise, if you go player by player, it's not an exceptional team by any means. There is a talent drought on the Australian national team. Hard to say compared to the past. You had players like Tim Cahill in the past, who I was a huge fan of. Harry Kewell. You remember Harry Kewell?
Yeah.
He was a fun one.
Yeah.
but Aaron Moy. So they have interesting and have had interesting players in the past, but I think they have an issue with culture around soccer in their country. They don't have a soccer culture. They have a similar issue to the US in that players are choosing to do other things, and they're not really developing high-end talent frequently enough to be a top nation. So I think regionally speaking, they're going to do fine. They're going to get the new coach bump. They're going to do well. They're going to figure it out. They're probably going to beat China. I suspect China is going to get steamrolled by Australia. We'll see. But hard to say given the talent they have. I don't think they have enough to replicate what they did in Qatar.
But you know what? I did want to say one thing, like you said, like you win against China, and then you come out with a good result in that Japan game, and suddenly the entire mood in the country like changes around, right? And then they'll say, "Oh, new coach, we got a couple good, games that happened here," and then you're going to be back on track for the World Cup qualification. So,
I think if they beat China, which they almost certainly will, and then go on to tie or beat Japan, that's going to be a major turning point for this team, because that's against a team like Japan that's sneaking into that world-class territory. It's going to be monumental for the motivation of this team.
100%. So some names that are being thrown out, of course. Mr. Hervé Renard is back in the mix for the potential for the Australian coach.
Talking about Mr. Renard.
There was the popular name Muscat was apparently he's not interested in the position, so it could be Hervé Renard. I mean, I think everyone's looking at this guy, so who knows?
Everyone, that would be fun. That would be a fun one. He reminds me of Gus Hiddink a little bit, like a poor man's Gus Hiddink.
Yeah,
where Gus Hiddink would just hop around between national teams, do his magic, and leave. I wouldn't say Renard is doing much magic these days. It's been a little while. But yeah, he's a national team guy. Hops around. He'll do a year there, a year here. He might have some success. But fun fact, while I was doing a little bit of research, do you know what the Australian national team's name is across their social media accounts?
Socceroos. Is it not?
The Subway Socceroos.
Oh, interesting. A little sponsorship action.
They've named it. Reminds me of the Canadian national team, which their like unofficial name is the Canadian national team of MLS.
Yes.
Which is so weird. It's the weirdest thing.
That makes. Well, let's we will see. Let's see who it goes. All you Aussie fans out there, let us know out there if you're happy with the resignation of Graham Arnold. Arnie, was it time for him to go? And who would be your dream coach with the Asian World Cup qualifiers coming out right around the corner? If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Or anything you got to say as we let our friends from Down Under go?
I would say Vamos Socceroos. Always rooting for you guys. A good Socceroo national team is good for the world, and it's good for the game.